Hello and welcome to the Pit Stop Report, where today we're going to be talking about the Japanese Grand Prix. I'm not joined by James though today. We have a new guest and a slightly more of an F1 fan. Still not perfect though.
Hello, my name is Alex and I'm a MotoGP fan, but I know somewhat a bit about F1.
It's the wrong sport, but we make with what we can do at the moment.
Well, MotoGP is the better sport, so...
I can't say I've watched it. I don't have the license to watch it.
They go...
Do they? You know, that's...
But F1 is just... You know?
They race a lot of the same circuits.
But MotoGP, there's so much more action to it.
I do agree.
They go around a corner, they're this far away from the ground.
Oh, it is.
Or
awesome.
they'll grab the brakes of the
getting
person
off.
next to them.
We're already getting
Anyway.
off topic. Today we're going to be talking about the Japanese Grand Prix, which was actually a few weeks ago. We're talking about it about 3 weeks late, but unfortunately that's the
Takes a bit of
benefit
time for the news to travel in the world.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. We're actually in a secret bunker,
Yeah.
which is why it takes so long for us to get here. Alex is actually not really meant to be here. He sort of broke into the base. That's why James is gone.
Yeah.
James
escaped.
This is all irrelevant, by the way.
Are we going to have to cut this?
No, we're not going to.
No cutting, because we don't censor anything here on the, what was it, Pit Stop Report.
The guest doesn't know the name of the show, guys. Isn't that fun?
Well, this makes good telly, but you know what makes even better telly? Antonelli!
That's a very good joke.
He won, what was it? Won the Japanese Grand Prix?
I thought he said the Chinese. He did win the Chinese Grand Prix a few weeks ago. He won the Japanese Grand Prix as well from pole position, and he's taken the lead of the Drivers' Championship now over teammate George Russell.
Yes.
9 points is the difference. That will be when we head to Miami in a few weeks' time. But once again, it was another very strong qualifying from Antonelli and Mercedes. Start of the race, though, Antonelli from pole dropped 5 positions. He went down to 5th, right off the start line. That's where Mercedes seemed to lack over some other teams. Those race starts that they just, Ferrari especially, we know how good they are. McLaren as well, the first time we actually got Piastri driving, and he took the lead from the race start and really could have won if things had gone his way. But if we look ahead to the future, currently Mercedes have by far the best car, and they may not have the best race starts, but they can make up for it over a race. We can get to a few weeks' time from now, and over the summer, teams will continue to upgrade, and that gap will start to close. If Mercedes don't get those race starts sorted, do we look at a situation where the teams like Ferrari especially start to claw their way in and start to really challenge for the wins?
Well, you can see they've got great drivers. Even dropping down to 5th and then coming back to win. They know what they're doing. They just need the car to do it with. So,
Indeed.
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 But, at the state of some of these drivers, they might have to be looking at Indeed soon because they don't know what they're doing. With Max Verstappen saying he's could be leaving Red Bull soon.
Well, Max Verstappen, it's a whole, like I've never seen a man despise the regulation set more than he hates these ones. He is utterly miserable, and Red Bull are just in a bit of a state right now. We'll talk a bit about later about GP leaving. That's going to be...
But he's obviously not the better GP because that's MotoGP.
You're going to get so sick of Alex's jokes. Like, I have to force myself to laugh at them every time.
Making stuff up.
Making stuff up my arse. No, it is.
Oh, F1's better. No. Anyway,
we don't have Marc Marquez to talk about. We have Carlos Sainz, the better Spanish driver. Maybe. No one's going to hear that.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's better.
Kill the audio.
Should we talk a little bit about Oscar Piastri then? 'Cause he didn't start the first 2 Grand Prix through no fault of his own. Well, actually, no, sorry, some fault of his own in Australia. He sort of did crash, but we did hear there could have been some issues with the car, which didn't help him. And then China especially, both from him and Lando Norris not starting due to different electrical issues with McLaren. A big thing this year with these regulations is electrical issues, it seems, with the 50-50 split between combustion engine and electrical unit now. but he finally made it to the grid, and he drove an excellent race, as you said. Took the lead of the first corner. Was really looking strong, like a real contender for the win. Got second in the end through a bit of an unluckiness with the safety car. If McLaren are seemingly starting to get themselves sorted, can we see them start to push Mercedes and Ferrari for these podiums and possibly wins?
Once again, they just need to get their act together in a way.
I do, yeah. I mean, McLaren are, like we saw this last year, the best car by far, and yet the team made so many questionable decisions with this whole papaya rules and things. And you think, you've got such a strong lineup and such a strong car. What are we doing? And that hurts more as a fan, watching them actually do this sort of thing, in Monza especially. That was awful to watch, to see us. It felt at times like we were trying to sabotage our drivers, one or the other. It was often Piastri felt we got the worst of it, but last season especially, we saw the pit stop issues where the second guy stopping always had a slow stop, and it really screwed them over and sometimes in races. And then this season, we didn't get a car on the grid in China. Absolutely shit is the best way to put it.
They need to sort of reorganize their team in a way. Like they've got the equipment for it. Their drivers are good.
They're quite good. We are talking about a world champion, and in just
drivers are quite good.
And his third season, he got third in the championship.
But it's all falling apart, and they need to figure out why.
Yeah, exactly. They need to just reevaluate some things, because they did the first thing. They need to get rid of papaya rules. We haven't seen it yet come into effect this season because we're not at the top. We're not chasing wins right now. We might be soon if Japan was anything to go off with Piastri's pace.
But that's telling the car, like, oh, we're not chasing wins. We're not chasing wins. Just big loser, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
This guy's not even a fan of sports. Like, he has no idea what he's talking about.
I like the one where they go, you know.
Yeah, no, 'cause Marc Marquez, whenever he's in his Ducati, he goes,
That's what they do when they go around corners, George.
It looks like he's trying to do the nay-nay.
Or they go around corners, they go, and then maybe they'll fall off and they'll crash, but sometimes they'll do like a really cool thing and they'll like stop
they'll recover,
the
and it is awesome. And if they do crash, they have the inflatable suit, which is quite funny. They should have that in F1 for when they crash. Like
when they crash and stay in the car.
No, but imagine if the car had that sort of...
Or like an ejector seat. They're driving around like, yeah. But
well, you know what?
On the topic of crashing...
Yeah, on the topic of crashing, Ollie Behrman had a really nasty accident, 50G crash at the Spoon Curve. That's the same sort of level as the Max Verstappen crash at Silverstone in 2021 in that battle of Lewis Hamilton. It's a mega impact, and it's brought people up talking about again the regulations and their disdain for them, because there was such a difference when he was using his battery to try and overtake Colapinto, and the difference in power is so heavy there when you're using that battery, and it maybe isn't the best place to try and overtake, and Colapinto can't do anything about it. He's not at all to blame, but Behrman trying to go for it, goes onto the grass to try and get past him on the inside, loses control, spins into the curve, and it's a mega impact. And well, he's lucky to have walked away without any fractures.
He did walk away. He got up out the car and walked off. So.
Yeah, he sort of waddled.
Yeah,
you could see like must have been in such pain after that sort of crash in the legs, and just a shock as well.
I mean, I don't really know what the drivers are going to do. He went straight through a sign that said 100 on it, so they're not going to know what that sign
You don't even
said.
know what the 100
I don't know what the unit for the 100 was, but they're not going to know how many hundreds there are.
It's the distance to the corner. I don't know what...
He must have misread the sign and thought it said 1,000, which is why he kept going past.
Alex is the worst at jokes.
Now, here's a question for you, George.
Oh.
He went on the grass.
Yes.
So was he trying to undertake?
No, he was trying to, because the Spoon Curve is a left-hander, So therefore, he's trying to get on the left-hand side of Colapinto, so he had the inside line into that corner. But he probably would have been smarter, because there was a little bit more room on the right-hand side. He'd probably have been better trying to do it around the outside. But you always want to try and take the inside line for the majority of corners, because you want to have the shortest distance.
See, if they had the pit stop, not the pit stop report, but the pit stop, they had off-road tyres. So you do your first few laps with your normal tyres, swap them out for off-road tyres, bang, you can cut all the corners.
Yeah, but then if you cut all the corners, you just get a bunch of penalties.
But
Unless
what
it's wrapping track
what if you're
limits.
too fast so that the penalties don't matter?
I like the idea.
So you go, you just go in a big circle.
If you want to create your own motorsport category to test that, feel free.
I think we will.
I think the FIA are quite stingy on a lot of things, and I don't think they're going to go for it. You can talk to Mohammed Ben Sulayem about it if you wanna. I'm sure he'll say no.
But who's he to tell me what I can and can't do?
Well, he's the president of the FIA. He can do what he.
Well, I don't need an
do what he
FIA.
wants.
I don't need a. They're not driving the cars.
I mean, you don't have to be under the FIA to be a motorsport
You
category.
can sign up. You can sign up for my new motorsport I'm creating. Off-road cut corners. The name's a bit of a work in progress, but you get to cut all the corners on the F1 track. You
What
can sign up.
cars? Is it going to be like F1 style cars, or is it just going to be cars?
Anything.
You're going to let anyone drive anything.
Anything, but you're not allowed an engine.
How
Would that make it not a motorsport?
Well, it take away the motor, and how are you powering it?
Feet. You know, like the Flintstones, how they have their car like that. It would be something like that.
I don't think you can classify as a motorsport then. I think you can classify as just a running event.
Every car will have to have air conditioning in it with a motor, so that's how it's a motorsport.
Alex, you're a creative man.
I know.
And you know what? Maybe that's what we do one day. Maybe for the final ever episode
For
of
the
this,
final pit stop report,
we
will be testing
on the
out
Flintstones.
this new motorsport we've created.
No, this is not a
This
we.
new
This is a you.
This new motorsport I've created, where anything is a car, but it has to have air conditioning in any sort of form.
How are we getting people to, are we just streaming it on YouTube?
This will be an exclusive episode streamed. It'll be pay-per-view on Amazon Prime. So,
How much are we going to charge people?
like 200 quid.
200 quid.
How else are we going to fund these vehicles?
So they're running it on feet. What are we making the vehicles out of?
Anything.
But like, you make
See,
out wood, plywood.
we don't need these new unpopular regulations like they have in F1 with, ooh, electricity.
okay.
No.
So we're
Only thing is,
basically-
you can't have an engine unless it's for air conditioning, which you need air
So you're
conditioning.
basically making a soapbox without wheels.
No, you can have wheels on it.
So you're making a soapbox. Are we on a hill?
No,
So how are they going to move?
because a hill would
from
be
the wheel?
dangerous.
So if they don't,
With your
if
feet.
they have wheels,
With your feet. Like you know the little Tykes
Yeah, but
cars?
there'd be no point.
The little
Okay,
Tykes
I
cars.
kind of see the vision.
See, and if we get the McLaren team on, they might come second place. So.
Well, hey, I mean, we're talking about the two-time champions for the constructors and one-time world champion Lando Norris, but
No, Lando
Well,
Norris,
this
I'm not talking about him, the team that don't know what they're doing behind him.
yeah,
So-
well, sometimes I have to question it. I love Lando so much. I love him forever, but sometimes I have to question some of his decisions as well. I think he just gets in his head, though. I think you've got in your head this wonderful idea that I would love to know more about.
See,
one
this is what
day.
motorsport is really about.
What, using your feet and walking around? How long's the track?
Not engine.
How long's the track gonna be?
Probably like 100 metre.
So it's an 100-meter
There'll
dash.
there'll be two curves.
So it's like,
and it will be a contact sport. So,
are we gonna have steering wheels? And you
optional, it's optional.
no. If you have the steering wheel, you can take it off and lunge it at opponents.
Yeah.
And then that's a really good way to take them out.
Yeah. On the topic of taking people out,
There's
I don't know why I'm laughing at that. because Red Bull.
Well, it's not so much taken now, it's more he's going to leave and join my team,
Yeah.
McLaren. Yeah, Giampiero Lambiase, Max Verstappen's long-term race engineer, has been his race engineer since Verstappen joined Red Bull from Toro Rosso in 2016. This is a really big departure. It's another big departure for Red Bull that joins an extensive list over the last 2 years with the likes of Christian Horner, Helmut Marko, Jonathan Wheatley, Adrian Newey, and so many others. Having Giampiero Lambiase leaves them without Max Verstappen's race engineer and the head of engineering at Red Bull now since 2025. But it also, Max Verstappen is already unhappy, as we talked about, with the regulations. He's unhappy with his car. He's starting to explore other motorsport categories, doing the endurance racing. He's enjoying that a lot more. His contract ends, so Lambiase is joining McLaren in 2028. I believe that's the same year that Max Verstappen's contract of Red Bull ends. Are we getting towards the end of Verstappen's glittering career?
I think we might be. I think his career.
So,
I think his career might be might be coming to a Verstappen. But yeah, because his contract's up, he doesn't like these new regulations, and we can see like GPs. A lot of people are trying to get out of there before Verstappen inevitably leaves, and could this mean the end for Red Bull?
people are starting to talk about that. Oh, could Red Bull be bought out by somebody else? They've had a glorious 20 years or so in the sport now. But if you lose Max Verstappen, that's a massive name just in terms of the marketing and money alone from that. First of all, who do you get to replace him? It's Red Bull, they have money. They could get a lot of people. It depends. If Verstappen retires from F1, then it leaves a gap for Red Bull to sort out, and they can't really look to anyone else who will have lost a seat. But if Verstappen joins another team, we know McLaren are reportedly interested now. Mercedes have always had an interest, Aston Martin as well, but that's not too attractive a project right now.
Since we've seen Max Verstappen's exploring different motorsports, we always have three drivers open at the what was our name?
You made this.
What was my name? I don't really know, but if you ever want to say hi.
If you don't like electrical power, how about no power?
How about foot power?
Yeah.
Leg power.
And you know what? That's like fully on the drivers then to see who wins.
Yeah.
And I think he'd really enjoy that, because I think that's what he misses the most, is it being reliant on his talent alone. And it's all about his speed now. He gets to control his destiny.
Yeah, well, it's because his contract's up, he can sort of do what he wants.
Yeah, and
until he signs a new one, but...
Yeah, I feel like it's unlikely he's going to sign a new one. With the current state of Red Bull,
I think he'll retire from F1.
That's what I'm currently leaning towards, because I just think that unless the
how old is the guy now? He's
28, I think, maybe.
Like, how long until not only do people want a new fresh face in the sport, but
Fernando
also
Alonso is 44 now, and he's still going, and everyone still loves him, and he's still, when given a chance with the Aston Martin.
But how well is he doing? He didn't place very high in the Japanese Grand Prix.
That's not his fault. The Aston Martin is just shambolic. It's just so much worse than every other car, really, except from Cadillac, who are new to the sport, so you can understand that. But in 2023, Aston Martin started the season really strong. Fernando Alonso was getting podiums pretty consistently. He still has the talent to do that sort of thing when given the chance of the car. And Fernando Alonso is a face that no one could get bored of seeing in F1. He's just so synonymous with the sport. And Max Verstappen has a sort of similar thing where everyone knows, and a lot of people hate, a lot of people love Verstappen, and he's a very good figure to have for the sport.
But is there a Max Verstappen without Red Bull? Because he's been such a staple of Red Bull for so long. Will he join a different team?
When he first joined F1, it was with Toro Rosso, which was Red Bull's junior team, who are now V-Carb, who was still going pretty decent, actually pretty good, like on the same points as Red Bull this season so far or so. That's how close that gap is now, which is really bad on Red Bull's part. But Verstappen has always been a part of the Red Bull Junior program coming up for his career, and now is the most important face of Red Bull, you'd say. Like, if you're advertising Red Bull, if you're going to do any sport with it, you want Max Verstappen there, because he is the face that's going to pull in more money than anyone else, which is why if Mercedes and McLaren, Aston Martin, and all the teams, if they could have him, would snatch him up instantly, because he's such a good person to have for just branding. That's where I think it almost caused a dilemma for him. I don't know if I see him as the type of guy who would chase money, because the money he would get from
He's
joining,
already got quite a bit of it, probably.
yeah, and if he joins McLaren or he joins Mercedes, the contract he would get would be ridiculous. Or does
But
he?
would it be too much for any teams? Because he would want quite a bit of money, and he'd be offered quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
But is that money that needs to go to upgrading a car?
That's where you get to the issues. I think that's why you can almost rule out the majority of teams. I mean, Aston Martin have Lawrence Stroll's incredible amounts of money, and then McLaren as well, and Mercedes are two of the richest teams. I don't see him ever as a Ferrari sort of driver. I don't really see him anywhere else, but Red Bull is the thing, which is why I'm so inclined to say that I think he will leave. And I also just personally don't see him as the type of guy who would stay in the sport just for money, when I think he has passion for driving in these other categories, and I think he'd rather really invest into those with friends and really start to make that. And you can also then look at things like Le Mans for him to do. We've heard rumours that him, Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso could make a team at Le Mans one day, and that would be a ridiculous team to have, and that's almost a guaranteed win, you feel, if they had a good car, because those are three of the greatest drivers ever, flat out, apart from you.
Yeah, not as good as me.
You haven't even passed your test.
Yeah, but have they seen me driving around in my new Motorsport? No. So
You can't call it driving.
have they seen me running around in my new Motorsport?
No, what was my point I wanted to make?
But with all these new regulations coming in that are causing Verstappen to leave with all
Be
this
miserable
electricity
all the
stuff,
time.
could we be slowly seeing the death of Formula E?
Formula E?
Is it Formula E?
What, the
one with
other-
the
the-
electric one?
Mm,
Because with all of these electricity regulations,
No.
could we see soon a total shift
I mean,
to
unless
electricity?
F1 does go fully electric, which I think would do more damage to F1 than Formula E. Thing is, with Formula E, it hasn't really kicked in to the proper mainstream category of motorsport yet. It's in the sense that it's not as popular as F1, as rally driving, as endurance, as MotoGP, as NASCAR, as all those things, and IndyCar. It's just not able to get to that level yet, because people, when you're trying to be a motorsport, you're talking about people, for the majority, who love cars. And a lot of them will be older people still who love a loud, planet-destroying car.
Yeah.
And Formula E is obviously trying to be the exact opposite of that. So I don't think Formula E would die. Formula One, on the other hand, we could, if it keeps going in this direction it's going in, we're trying to be so electric. I mean, Formula E, the CEO of Formula E has literally said that F1's doing shit wrong. It's telling it to not go so electric. Formula E are telling them to not go so electric, because that's
But could
not
that
what
be a
Formula
money thing?
One
They
is.
don't want.
Maybe as well, they don't want that
They don't want the
sort of
competition.
yeah, but I think for motorsport fans in general, it's more of a sense of, this is Formula One. This is not meant to be an electrical sport. This is meant to be about fast, loud cars. And
I
that's
think
what the people want.
I think what both F1 and Formula E in a way need is they need some sort of big publicity, like a movie. Because you see the success of NASCAR after Lightning McQueen. I mean, Lightning McQueen and the Cars franchise itself is arguably bigger than the sport of NASCAR.
Yeah, yeah.
Lightning
I'd say.
McQueen is a household name, but
Are you forgetting
NASCAR
about
people,
last
especially
year for
sort-
F1?
especially sort of outside of North America, no one really knows much about NASCAR. except Lightning
No.
McQueen. So I think they need an F1 the movie, but
Do
we
you know who
already
they could have
had.
a start in that? You know, Brad Pitt.
Oh, and Damson Idris.
Ooh, yeah. I tell you what, that's an attractive male figure to bring in audience, and Brad Pitt is another one to bring in the older generation to remember the 90s.
Yeah.
And do you know what they could have?
You know what they could do with Brad Pitt's character is he's like an old retired guy who was in a crash and then he comes back,
Yes.
and they could use a real crash that happened.
Yeah, and do you know what they could do? They could have the only two main like female characters of the movie. They could have one be a pit stop engineer who constantly messes up, and they could have the other be a car engineer who hooks up with Brad Pitt.
We got a movie here.
Whoa!
But what team were they in? Because we can't. They almost, because they would start out of underdogs and then they'd sort of reach like the apex of
Yes. Wait,
Apex GP.
and do you know who they have as team principal? You must have seen No Country for Old Men. Javier Bardem as a team
Ooh.
principal. Hear me out.
Oh, that's a really good suggestion.
Did you see?
And then he goes into the F1 bit and he goes, he's walking and he goes, how much have you lost on a coin toss?
Yeah. And
I don't know, sir. And then they do the whole thing and yeah.
do you know who directed Top Gun Maverick?
I haven't heard of this Maverick fellow.
You know who directed Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah.
Was it John Krasinski?
John
No,
Krasinski.
that's not It's Jim. Who was it? I forgot his name.
Oh, who?
Irrelevant. You know
It wasn't. No, I'm thinking of someone else.
Still, you know the scenes.
And we get a really big director to direct it.
Yeah, and you know the scenes in that film where they're in the planes and that
they go
beautiful
rum,
cinematography.
rum.
Imagine that, but Brad Pitt.
And it's all done practically.
Exactly.
And
And then
we
they
get-
go to the actual tracks and the actual cars, and they use F2
And they-
cars modified to be like F1 cars.
And they use real F1 drivers like
Yes, and they have Lewis Hamilton as a producer.
Yo, and Max Verstappen.
And they could
But
have.
he ain't stopping for anyone.
They could have.
Except for Brad Pitt. Because they build a car for fighting.
Yes, Plan C for combat, and they could have David Crofty and Martin Brundle do commentary for it, so that it's like actual F1. Guys,
I think we need to write all of this down personally.
how much do you reckon this could make at the box office? I'm saying like 650 million, and they could win 2 Oscars.
Oh, George.
What?
It's already happened.
The fuck do you mean?
It's already happened. Someone's already done that. F1 the movie.
We can make F2.
FE maybe, Formula
Yeah.
E.
Yeah, let's do that.
Formula E.
Is your sport ready for a movie?
I think it might be. We don't have a name for the sport yet. But
It's ready. It's golden.
call me Max, because we ain't stopping for no one.
I think we have one. I want to make one more point, like relevant point, before we end.
But Max Verstappen, he's not even stopping for his own teammates.
No, he's
Because you saw him in the back to the topic we need to
I
be
just want to
talking
quickly
about.
say, Alex watched like a few highlights before doing this podcast, and for some
I don't
reason,
remember what I remember.
he's obsessed with this one
Because
clip.
it doesn't make sense. You and your teammate are busy fighting, and then Ocon can overtake you. You're, instead of working with your teammate like they would do in F1 the movie, they start fighting against each other like they do at the start of F1 the movie. Like they would do at the start of F1 the movie, because it's not been made
Because
yet.
F1
We're going to make it.
drivers are selfish, and ultimately, as long as they don't have contact with their teammate, they're fighting for themselves over the team. They want to be higher in the championship. They want to be fighting for every position.
They're trying to be the apex of the championship.
That's not a banger.
Well,
But yeah, so you don't like if you're at the top, if you're fine. I appreciate this was on for first or second, but if you're at the top, fine for first and second. Second isn't gonna just not overtake first if it's his teammate or their teammate, just because. It's
no,
their
but they
teammate.
weren't in first or second.
No,
They were like fourth,
They're
fifth,
fine. They're lower than
sixth,
that.
seventh,
They're fine
eighth,
for bottom
ninth,
points.
ninth,
That's where
10th,
Red Bull are right now.
20,
They're fine for the bottom
21st?
points. Not that quite low. That's where Cadillac and Aston Martin
16th,
sit.
17th, 15th, 14th.
Are you just gonna go for every number?
Yeah, I don't really know what position they were, but it seems like a
They were
stupid
fighting
move.
for the bottom end of the points round. I think it must have been like 8th or 9th maybe or so.
Yeah,
And
not good.
no, that's not where Red Bull should be, but it's where they are. But they're not gonna, because that's fine for points. Points, no matter how little they are, can be so crucial in a championship. Neither driver is going to say, no, we're not going to go for this point just because it's their teammate. Unless they've been told by the team they can't fight, they're going to fight. And as long as they do it cleanly, it's fine. And they did here, and it cost Hadjar a position on Ocon. But that's part of the sport.
Well, I was going to make a joke, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, thank God, I'm so glad.
I think he's not Ocon. I think he's Ocon got a clue what he's doing.
That's such a...
That's all we've got time for today,
No,
ladies.
we've got, no, I want to talk about one last thing. I want to talk about just a little bit about qualifying, because Charles Leclerc on the radio was very unhappy about this super clipping. Now, super clipping is basically where on the straights, where you'd expect drivers to be flat out, they're not. They're slightly below their top speed because they're having to recharge their battery, which is a big thing that's annoying drivers and fans because they're not pushing as fast as they can because they're having to constantly recharge their battery, and that should not be happening on a straight. They should be going as fast as they can there, but they have to super clip.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
recharge.
these are truly some dire straits they're on.
That's, I mean, it's a fire joke, but
Some of these teams are just getting money for nothing.
no, because of the whole
I
50,
can't think of any more dire
because
straits.
of the 50-50 split between combustion engine and electrical power, you're so reliant now on electrical power, which means you're recharging it so much because you lose it so quickly when you do use it, that people are having to do a super clip in, and it's making qualifying sometimes really bad to watch because it's just, it's not as fun anymore, because the qualifying is a premise itself. It's just drivers doing a lap to see how fast they can go. If they're not even going as fast as they can go because they're having to recharge their battery all the time, it already takes away like a big element of the enjoyability of watching qualifying. And the drivers as well, they want to push out as much as they can, and they can't. And Leclerc on the radio called it a fucking joke, and frankly, that's what it is. It is so not F1. And you can see why the Formula E CEO was saying about how F1 needs to stick to what it is.
I mean, these drivers, all these new regulations coming in, they're having to relearn some of this equipment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole...
They're having to swing between, you know, what they already know and what they need to learn.
Yeah.
There's some kind of sultans of swing.
But no, it's a good point, because we've left the ground effect era for this new era of cars, and it's a complete change. The biggest overhaul that Formula One has seen for the cars in terms of going from one regulation to another, possibly ever. The cars are so much smaller. DRS is gone. It's still, the premise is still there of the rear wing opening, but the front wing opens as well, and it's called straight line mode, I believe now, if I remember right. Overtake mode's different. There's so many new things about these cars that the drivers are having to learn, and that's why we've seen things, like, especially in like practice in Bahrain before the season, in the first couple races, you see drivers making some mistakes they wouldn't really make usually because they're having to learn these new cars. And you could also argue for us fans then, we're doing the same thing. We're trying to learn these cars, and it means at the start, us as humans, we're very slow to like change a lot of the time. We may just need a few years to get used to these
But
sort of
especially with
things.
these sort of older drivers, that have been driving for 10, 20, 25, 30 years, they're not going to want to change. So you might need to get rid of some of these drivers that people like in order to win.
Lewis Hamilton, who's been in the sport since 2007, he said he's a big fan of these changes. I suppose if you're in a situation where you're competing now for the podium a lot of the time and your car's really good, you are going to be happy with the regulations. And that's probably why Max Verstappen's so unhappy. It's the fact that his car isn't as good and it isn't able to challenge. And that's why, like the start of the season, Lando Norris for the first few races has been really critical of the regulations as well. That's because he's no longer fighting for a championship. He's not even had a podium so far this season. There's almost a bit of hypocrisy at times with people's opinion on it based on how they're performing. And I suppose the same for fans as well. You know, Ferrari and Mercedes fans are probably not as angry at the new regulations as new fans, whereas Red Bull fans would be utterly miserable right now with them.
Well, I just want all the audience to know that there will not be any regulations on the Hit Motorsport Big Drive.
Okay.
Big Drive. That's the name we're making for it, Big Drive.
I feel like there's
any regulations.
There's a whole big summer coming up in which Big Drive can really take off.
However, because Big Drive is a contact sport, it does take place over winter. So we've got all this summer for you to design your lovely vehicles. Remember, air conditioning and no engines. But the engine has to be in the air conditioning for it to be a motor, a motor.
How are we getting power to the aircon?
Battery.
So we're going to stick a battery.
Yeah. Or you could have like, you know on the wind up torches, you could have that, but with your feet. Yeah. So your feet power the aircon, but then
how can you run?
You can have up to 2 drivers in the car.
Oh, okay. So kind of like you'd need rally in the sense that rather than the guy guiding you where the track is, he's just you could have one person charging and then another person pushing. So however, this could you could end up spinning, because if I'm here, I don't know if the camera's where we be now, but if you're here and you're running, you're going to be spinning round. So you might have to develop and have your cars straight, so it'd be like this, and then you have one person in the front and one person in the back. Yeah. These all
truly, because of these new
fully
regulations, we need to get investors here.
Yeah.
Some engineers, whatever. You know, it's a free reign.
It's a free reign for you to rule.
It's a free reign.
It's a free race.
And our first Grand Prix will be at Bahrain because it's a free reign.
I don't think you're going to be able to hire the Lascelles circuit.
Well, we can go to the Nürburgring because you can pay to drive on that.
You can, that's to drive, and also...
Oh, drive, to be fair, I don't know if they would consider
Are you going to do the entirety of Nordschleife? Because that's like an 8-mile track.
We have good drivers here, that big race.
If they're running, they're not...
We have big runners here.
Are they doing one lap or are we doing multiple laps?
It's 8 laps.
8 laps to the Nürburgring.
Yeah.
That'd probably take like... I don't know, how fast would you walk 8 miles?
Well, you're not, you're
okay, how much would you run 8 miles? Maybe like 2 hours? 3 hours?
Because you can have 2 people.
For one lap?
But does it go downhill at any point?
Yes, there are.
Well, because if you've got wheels, then you go down the hill.
Okay, so basically, if you want to take part in this at the Nürburgring,
be ready to 28th of March, 2038. We're going to do our first Grand Prix.
And if you're willing to sacrifice a day that day,
might be a few days depending on your speed. Well, not your cars, but bring your vehicles.
Bring your feet.
Big race.
Quentin Tarantino will love it.
There is a regulation that you do need to have leg appendages. So if you're I've forgotten the word for it, but if you lost your leg,
an amputee.
As amputee, you can still run if you got like a bit of a thing. But if you're completely below the waist, you might need to figure something out. You could have it by the hands.
We've spent the majority of this episode talking about this sport rather than the
this new sport highlights all of the problems with F1.
We're taking viewership from F1 because we're taking it to somewhere where people can watch what they want to see.
F1's got so many strict regulations. You can't do this. You can't do that. McLaren got
This is
told off
free.
because they like made a new material that they can't use next time. You can't do this. You can't. It takes all the fun and creativity out of a motorsport, and especially with a motorsport where engineering gives you such a competitive edge. When you have all these regulations, every car is just the same, but some are more same than others.
Not in this sport, though.
No, not in this
Everyone's
sport.
unique.
Completely unique. You know the Red Bull sport where they have the vehicles that they like fly off the bridge?
Oh, yeah.
Something
yeah.
like that, but more fun and better, and we have more investment
And
into
no
it.
Red Bull sponsors.
And no Red Bull
We don't have sponsors, 'cause
No.
we are the sponsors.
Yeah, you know sponsors are like, that's another regulation. Well,
Yeah.
we're sounding a bit like F1 here. We're putting too many regulations in.
No, but no sponsor. It's just no advertising. Because we want this to be clear.
No
that
advertising.
This is for the love of the sport, not for
Yeah.
the money.
There will be, it's entire thing is not for profit.
We are not going to make any money.
If any
off of this.
profits are made, all profits go to, where do they go?
Where do you want them to go?
You can buy shares in this motorsport,
Yes.
and all money circles back to you.
And then you'll
This-
be on the board, and you
this
can
probably
have your
is-
influence.
That's probably illegal. Although it's just dividends in a way.
Yeah. And plus, who's going to know?
So after we do our Grand Prix, the next day it will all shut down.
Yeah.
So get your
likely.
insider trading ready. Although it's not insider trading now because it's public knowledge.
Mm.
But this just shows we're getting close to F1 now with illegal money going around it.
Yeah.
So
It's scary how quickly we got there.
we're basically F1 now. What is it? F4? Is F4 a thing?
Yeah, there's Formula 4.
Formula 5?
I don't think it's Formula 5.
We're Formula 5.
Yeah.
Big race for short.
We've generally spent more time talking about this than
Now,
the Japanese Grand Prix. But we've already talked about all
but
the
now
points.
if you want to go race on down to the comment section, like, subscribe.
I want to quickly give my predictions for Miami. Miami's coming up in a few weeks' time. I'm not going to get... Alex, do you have any predictions?
I think there'll be a crash at corner 2 on the 8th lap.
Okay. Do you have any drivers it could be?
Fernando Alonso.
And just himself?
It's like this is his car. He's driving. It goes like it's like a turnover crash,
Oh, okay.
and it shuts the race down.
Well, a red flag for
A whole race
or
shut.
just cancelled race.
Yeah, and
Big
it cracks the
prediction.
concrete as well, so they can't
Okay.
race the next day.
Big in like suggestion from Alex.
But he walks out of it fine.
I'm
no
going to go
injuries.
for a little bit more realistic with the sprint predictions. I'm going to say George Russell will take the win. He needs a little bit of a boost after a few poor races.
I think Verstappen's going to crash as well. Before, who did I say?
Fernando.
Fernando Alonso. I think Verstappen's going to get angry and crash.
Yes. Back to my predictions. Second, I want to say Kimi Antonelli. Third, and for the final one, I'll just do top 3. Third, Lewis Hamilton. Get him on the podium. And then for Grand Prix, George Russell wins again.
Who's starting in first place?
We don't know yet. Qualifying hasn't happened.
I think they're going to drop to 7th and then finish 3rd.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say for the race, George Russell wins. Second, Charles
That would
Leclerc.
really rustle some feathers.
Third, Kimi Antonelli. I'm sorry if you've not enjoyed Alex's jokes. I sort of comme ci, comme ça.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, race down to that comment section to like and subscribe. Is this public?
Yeah.
I didn't say that because we're PG here. Unlike the F1 the movie, which I think is a 12,
It is.
but was it 15?
No, it's a 12.
It's 12. But what would Big Race the movie? That would probably be PG, unless there's a severe crash. But thank you all for watching. Are we finished now?
Well, thanks for doing
Well,
my
you've
job,
got to
Alex.
say-
I'll just thank you very much
if
for
I
watching.
done it wrong.
It's a 13, by the way, not 12.
A 13.
We've just had a
13
producer.
isn't a rating
yeah,
in the UK.
we've just had.
Okay, we've had a producer come in and tell us it's a 13, which isn't an age rating in the UK. It could be PG-13, which is a 12 in America.
But even then, it's 12. It's 12A.
Yeah.
But 13's not a.
Not
Unless
in
it's
the UK.
PG-13, but 13
Which is
isn't
America.
in maybe Canada.
It's PG-13.
Okay, we
Okay,
are
he
right.
was wrong,
Producer
but
is
we're
wrong
right.
as always. Never trust your producers, guys.
Producer, I hardly know her.
That was an awful joke. Anyway,
Thank you all
to
for
wrap
liking
up-
and subscribing.
No, let me do it.
Okay.
Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed Alex's company. Sometimes
you.
he's fun, sometimes he makes awful jokes.
That was very
Thank you
fun.
very much for helping out.
Well, I think it's time this episode comes to a pit stop.